student, not necessarily enable the student, but best help this student, because there's a difference.
We train instructors to really reach out and don't just be a cheerleader, but really find ways that you can help that student extend their knowledge into the next lesson or even the next course.
So I try to understand the student first and then see how I can help them to strengthen their testimony, which is part of becoming a disciple, and giving them opportunities to lead.
It's like with anything in life, if we take away the growth experiences, they won't be ready to move on.
Online instructors aren't perfect, and they may make some mistakes.
We're all struggling. None of us are perfect, but we're all trying to be better every day.
We all have our challenges, and they can relate to my challenges. I can relate to theirs.
They go through really, really hard things. Really, really hard things.
And yet, if it can take them a little more time to get through Pathway and a little more effort, and they're that much more prepared, then that is a success story. That is a true success story.
As an online instructor, you recognize that these students come with various challenges. Everything from, a flat tire in their car to, in some cases, going through a divorce, and they're coming back to school to get
further education to help in their situation. And again, your time is limited as an instructor with these students. But you begin to see really quickly that this isn't about grading a quiz or providing feedback on grammar to a writing assignment. This is about providing support to sons and daughters of God who are trying to figure out what God wants for them in their lives.
I pray for them. I put their names in the temple for them, and I let them know that. And I think that helps.
I love them, and I want them to do well, and I'm there to help them no matter what their problems are.
But I've had many Haitian students that have that Pathway certificate hanging on their wall because they're so proud.
We're working with you.
We're working with you to help students fulfill whatever the Lord would have them fulfill in their lives. We're working with you together as a team.
It's truly life-changing to see students gain confidence in themselves that they've never had. It truly changes lives.
Okay, so how would you think that we missionaries and instructors are the same? In what purpose are we the same, do you think?
You want to unmute them?
Let's just do something daring and unmute everyone.
Hopefully, we won't get feedback.
Have the same goals for the students that they do.
The same goals, yes. Yep, that's true.
And what are some of those goals that we have for the students that we share with the instructors?
I think we want them to gain testimony and also be successful in the chosen career.
Yes, absolutely. Those are good. Very good. Anybody else have any other thoughts to add?
We want them to gain confidence that they can do it.
Right. And by way of support, how do you think we're similar?
Have face-to-face interaction. The instructor does not, but we still want to really know the student and love the student.
That's right. Both of them, the instructor and the missionaries, completely love these students, don't they? And they support them in any way that they can and minister to them. So just know that even though those instructors are not there face-to-face with them, which I love that comment, Sister Matthews, just know that they are doing everything at their end that you're doing face-to-face with them too. And doing everything they can to help them be successful, even if it means a little bit of tough love in the process. Okay, very good. All right, so in that we shepherd and minister to our students, we're going to talk about ways that we can do that. So on the second page, by the picture of Christ, there's a paragraph. So who's got their paper in front of them? And let's see, the dolls, you have yours. Sister Doll, could you read the first paragraph and Elder Doll read the second paragraph for us?
Do you mean where it says Pathway Connect Missionaries?
Yes, ma'am.
Pathway Connect Missionaries are a key part of the program. There are over 2,500 Pathway Connect missionaries throughout the world. From the online missionary orientation modules, we learned that the main roles of Pathway Connect missionaries include finding students, shepherding students, and building relationships with local leaders.
One of the most important of these roles is the shepherding students. This includes providing love, offering support, empowering students to become self-reliant, and encouraging students to be active participants in their courses and gatherings. Shepherding can happen at various times throughout the week.
So Elder George and I, when we had classes, we've been known to go out and bring somebody in because they had a flat tire, and then take them back later and fix the tire just to make sure they didn't miss as much class, or hold the baby because the babysitter didn't show up. And we'd rather have them in the classroom and have to take care of the baby as opposed to have them not present because of that. Helping the lead student throughout the week because they don't have any confidence yet and they're not sure what they're doing and how to facilitate that lesson, and offering support and ideas and sharing with them. It goes way beyond Thursdays, doesn't it? I know, I see you shaking your heads, because those of you that have been in the classroom, you understand that. We're going to take just a couple minutes to do a pair share thing. So with your companion, and Elder Elmer, oh, so sad, you're by yourself, but, but you can still do the activity. Take a few minutes to discuss with your companion these 6 items as opportunities to shepherd. I want you to underline the ones you think could be easily overlooked. Okay, and I'm going to give you just about a minute to do that. Ready, set, go.
Ask again.
Elder Elmer, did you hear me ask the question?
No, you didn't.
Can you tell me one thing you underlined?
I underlined the lead student observation feedback form.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about how that could be easily overlooked.
Well, we actually have a small group, and so we're like a tight-knit family, and we are very open with each other. So it's easy not to do that because we're very open, supportive, and
okay.
so the feedback's always happening continually.
Understood. For the other missionaries that don't have that same circumstance, I'd like to explain why that is something that should never be overlooked. First of all, it's part of the program. It's part of maintaining the integrity of the program. But the reason that is so valuable is I was just reading, some of you may have read the book Toyota, what's Toyota Train or Toyota Talent. It's called Toyota Talent. How come Toyota is so successful? And in there they talk about the feedback that they give their employees. And we want students to understand that their employer may require them to give feedback, or they may have to give feedback to somebody else about something. It's part of an integral part of working together as a team in a job or in different respects. So it's important for them to have that experience. And actually, outside of being a really small, already tight-knit group, they crave it. They want it. Even if they've been a site leader, a lead student once before, they still want it that second time too, because they're trying to improve. Whatever you told them to improve on the first time, they're now going to try to put that into action the next time that they are. So we would highly encourage you to continue to do that particular observation feedback form. Okay.
Could I ask a question about that form?
Sure, and then you can tell me which one you underlined, Elder Bales.
Does every box need to be filled in with comments?
With comments, yeah, with comments.
Well, it's something you give them to take home, and you're going to give comments as you go, but it's a piece of paper that they get to take home, and you'd be surprised how many of those students cherish those, put them in a memory book, and keep them.
Oh, I think that's a yes, isn't it?
Well, I don't want to tell you what to do, because there might be a circumstance where it's not appropriate. It doesn't apply, you know, but go ahead, Elder George.
I'll tell you what. This is the way Sister George and I have worked it. I find it difficult sometimes to put a comment in there. I'll pass the page to Sister George. She'll put 3 comments in.
Yeah, I've tried that.
And that's fine. Work together. So, okay. So that's the one that you underlined then?
No.
Okay.
What we underline, you want to tell them, sweetie?
Well, because we're new and we haven't been given fully, we haven't been fully trained. The phone calls and the emails and the texts during the week, we have not done that at all. And so we're learning that can become a very important part. So.
Yes.
Could you share with us what maybe an example of when you might think that might be important for somebody just to check with them?
We have a couple that are pretty consistently late, and it could be because they're coming from work, and just encouraging them, I think, or a couple of single mothers who come, and just letting them know that we excited to see them, you know, just encouragement.
That's excellent, Sister Bales. And know also that it's very important that they do hear from you, and that because that's how they begin to feel loved. So you're watching your at-risk students. Maybe you would classify those as at risk, okay? Right away, there's a red flag that goes off late every week. What's the problem here?
Yeah.
It could just be the timing of work, and so you give them a little slack, they show up, you're good. But watch for those red flags on students, and then give them extra time and attention and care and ministering to. Very good, excellent. Peterson.
If I could just say something, this is especially true with their grades. It's really important that you maintain and watch their grades, because you can tell not only their grades, but how much time they're spending in class, because those are good signs whether a student's going to make it or not.
Very good. Elder Lewis, thank you for that comment. And with all your experience, I really appreciate that. That's an important piece as well. Petersons, what did you underline?
Well, we haven't done this, but y'all done the classes, but one of the things that my wife and I were talking about was the same one, number 5, phone calls, emails, texts during the week. The main reason I'm thinking of that, or we're thinking of that, is because during the week he can get real busy and forget to do that. And so probably want to schedule it in, or, if needed or whatever. We have yet to get the experience going, so we can talk with, any kind of knowledge. But I would think that would be an easy one to overlook.
Well, you're already demonstrating that you have a mantle, in my opinion. And I think the fact that you picked up on that and desire to know how you can go ahead and implement that by maybe setting a calendar, an alarm on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock, or before the gathering, check with your lead student, check with your high-risk students, whatever. I think that's a great idea. Well done. Very good.
I also think that saying their name and greeting them is important, just making them feel valuable to be there.
Absolutely. So did you also underline, you didn't underline greeting students as something that could be overlooked then, because it sounds like you really feel that's important.
I did.
No, she does.
Okay. Anderson's.
Well, we have some pretty small groups, so
We're still having trouble hearing you. Could you maybe turn your volume up a little?
Or just get closer.
yeah, I think just we'll try to get closer. The 10-minute break.
I'm so sorry, but we're unable to hear what you're saying.
I don't speak sign language.
Let's move on to the Larsons and we'll come back to you if we still have some time. Larsons, what did you feel was something that could be easily overlooked?
Well, one thing that we struggle with is number 3, the 10-minute break between gatherings.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Really, we meet together for the life skills. We're in life skills right now with the younger, so we are all together. And then the institute teacher comes in and he's waiting, but we've got a lot of talkers and we'll tell them, try to end 10 minutes to the hour, and it kind of goes over and they're having such good discussions. We just need to be, I guess, better at just, lovingly, doing this sign or something, to say, okay, it's time to stop, so we can do the observation feedback with them, and then we split off to institute, and then the older goes to our religion. So
yes, and one of your roles with the students is to help them learn time management. So if the lesson says 50 minutes, then you have to teach them as an observing student, because you're aware that the observing student follows the lead student the next week. And as you're preparing that observing student for next week, you talk to them about that if that's a continuous problem in your class. And as you perfect your lead students, you'll find that things come into line pretty nicely. So that would be my recommendation to work with you. Lewis is in Mesa West. Do you have any comments on that and anything you've done with your experience?
Yes.
Other than grooming your observing student to be the lead student and try to improve whatever areas are problematic in the class?
Are you talking to us or the other one?
No, you. Yes, Bill.
Wow. Right here.
Yeah, that. My buddy in the top corner.
All right. We did something a little bit different. We did the written evaluation, but what we would do in the beginning of the next gathering is I would take a few minutes. We call them teaching gems. But we'd share some of the things that we're learning as we go through and do the other student evaluations. In other words, it makes sense that if there's something valuable that's shared in the prior week, it ought to be shared with all the students. If it'll, in other words, you're going to keep repeating the same problem.
That's right.
Until everyone's been through the process.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's great feedback. Thanks so much for that. All right, Matthews, you don't have a class yet. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What did you underline?
We underlined 5 and then 3 as well, but I think the reasons have been well explained by the other.
Well, I can share one thing about our personal experience and the experience of other missionaries out in the field that report back to us as we are training. And one thing that that we can tell you is that if you can get that 10 minutes, there will be certain students that will gravitate to you during that time. And I see Sister Peterson is shaking her head. She understands this. They'll gather when you're greeting them at the door. There'll be certain ones that will gravitate to you because they have something to share, something they need to tell you, something they're having a problem with. They'll do the same thing during the 10 minutes and they will do the exact same thing at the close. You'll see they're the same ones that hang around and hang around. They're kind of waiting for everybody to leave so they can have their moment with you. So do your very best to try to get that 10 minutes in. I certainly understand what the Larsons were saying about it. It's, timing, it's kind of hard, but you'll get there. Keep working on it.
Another thing we used to use as a technique, if we could see they were going to run over time, 2 or 3 minutes before real time was supposed to be up and they're still lagging, we would just slowly walk to the side of the front of the room, which says it's our turn to give a closing comment. And so that suggests the idea, I do need to wrap it up because my missionaries are just feet away from me, a few feet away from me.
Or we'll hold up a sign for them like this. Just 5 minutes. And that helps them.
Yeah.
Because they're so wrapped up in it. And you're right, the conversations are so rich that it's hard to walk away from them, but you have to.
Also,
you know?
this works really good.
Do that one too. Okay.
No, we don't do that.
Last one will take us from the dolls. And what did you say?
Well, we underlined phone calls, emails, and texts, but the 10-minute break is a problem we've also had. We have a problem with the first class going a little bit too long, and then we feel like it shorts the second class. So I have a question. Okay, our evening goes from 7 to 9. So should the first meeting maybe go from 7 to 7:55, and then the next meeting maybe 8:05 to 9?
That is
So
exactly
5 minutes from each one.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what you do. But the lesson, if you read your sample lesson plan, the lead student lesson plan, it'll tell you what the length of that lesson is supposed to be. And they are anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes. They are structured with a time frame set in. And that's what you have to help the students with. So for the observing student, say, we've looked at your lesson for next week. We see that it's a 45-minute lesson. Let's go ahead and try to stick to that. But it's in the lesson plan.
And also enlist the class members. Explain that we need to not run over. So could you help the discussion leader, whoever the lead student is, make sure that we end on time so they work as a team, rather than the lead student having to swim upstream, so to speak, trying to finish everything they need to teach amidst all of the comments that come from the students.
Which is what Elder Lewis from Mesa West was saying, is that he addresses it with the whole group, and then the whole group gets to be able to benefit from it. Hello, Sister Elmer. Glad you could join us. Okay, Elder George is up again. Now we're on page, what is it, 3?
Page 3.
Okay.
May I just say, woohoo! It's me. I'm up next. Okay, section 4. I shouldn't have said that, because this is about establishing a spiritual setting in your class. I'll take that out post-edit. I'll get rid of that. Let me just read this section. It says, for weekly Thursday gatherings to be impactful and edifying, it is important for the Holy Ghost to be present so that learning by the Spirit occurs. Pathway Connect missionaries help establish an atmosphere that is conducive to gospel learning by doing the following activities. So I'm going to call on. Get
a chance to speak.
Oh yeah, the Queen Creek Lewises. Could you address item number 1? Ensure the building is open. Arrive early and organize the classroom. Yeah. Okay. I just answered your question. Sister George told me. So let me just ask it this way. Why do you think ensuring that the building is open, arriving early, and organizing the classroom will lend itself to an air of spirituality? How about that?
There you go.
Well, I think by having it opened early, it'll seem like it's more professional, organized, and prepared. And so people come in with a different mindset than they see you walk in late, rushed, and if they're that late and rushed, did they really prepare? And so they can concentrate on the material at hand, and everything just seems way more professional. And it's like, hey, they put time and effort into this. They're here early. Let's go ahead and give them our full attention, and because they are prepared.
Yeah, if a missionary arrives late all the time, it's like saying, you, class, aren't important to us. Yeah, you don't matter. Yeah.
Elder Lewis and Sister Lewis are our brand new lead missionaries for the Queen Creek site. And we're pretty darn proud of them, because they were thrown into that position, maybe not even 2 weeks ago. And they have just come leaps and bounds in their understanding and learning, and their mantle is just mighty right now. Okay, go ahead. Who do you want to read number 2?
Let's see. Elder Sister Matthews, could you read number 2 and just tell us why you think that will help set a spiritual tone?
Item 2 is ensure students have a comfortable place to sit with a clear view.
What's your classroom like?
It's awesome.
That's a good answer.
It's still better than anything we have in our award.
Oh, great.
We have a mobile podium We have all kinds of we have display equipment.
Wow.
It's really well done, and the students can all see all the boards and stuff. It's if we had 30 people, it would be difficult, but we don't.
Mm-hmm. Why is that important?
Optimizes the learning experience. And
very good.
Yeah.
Well said.
Good.
Optimizes the learning experience. Very good. Next.
Okay. Larson's, could you read 3 and tell us why that's important?
Sure. It says wear missionary attire and name badges. I don't know. I think maybe it's the same reason we wear church clothes on Sunday. It just sets the tone for the Spirit to be there. And I think it also encourages our students to wear professional attire as well, especially when they're presenting.
Sure.
Okay, so by way of Salt Lake City, the home center for BYU Pathway Worldwide, I have a message for you. Recently, the church made a change in the female attire for proselyting missionaries. They didn't specify it was for just proselyting missionaries, but they said that sister missionaries can now wear pants, slacks, not leggings, but slacks because, you know, they ride a bike. Well, that's our sister missionaries, that's our proselyting missionaries, that's not us, right? We're not riding a bike, so we probably don't need to do that. And then the long pants are also to protect them in the climates where mosquitoes are, you know, heavily ridden with diseases and things like that, to protect them in that environment. And also in the extreme cold. It's very difficult to be warm without slacks on in Russia, for example. So although the policy is that sister missionaries can now wear slacks, BYU Idaho Pathway Worldwide's view of that is that they would very much like to encourage all of the sister missionaries to continue in Sunday dress. Is 95 or 90.9%, whatever they can do. You know, sometimes it is going to be cold in your state, extremely cold, or something else might be going on. But that is their stand on that. So please continue to wear your Sunday dress in the classroom.
Yes. Now you notice that we told you it was casual in our email, or you could arrive casual to this gathering. That's good. The leaders, the lead students, that's us. We are to dress in Sunday dress, and so that's why you see us dress. But you don't necessarily have to be. You could be casual. So we wanted to replicate that that setting where the lead student is dressed in Sunday dress, and the rest of the students may not be.
And thanks to all of you gentlemen who decided to put your shirt and tie on for us anyway. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we can't stand the gentlemen without their ties on.
Oh, stop.
Sorry, without their shirts on. That's what okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll take that out in post also. Peterson's. Could you read number 4 and tell us? Do you have any experience with that? How do you do it at your site? Read number 4, please.
We haven't done a class yet, but it says arrange in advance for him and prayers.
Oh, sorry.
Why would that be important?
Everything goes smoother if it's already arranged. You know, you're not standing there saying, does somebody want to say a prayer?
Right.
And also, too, if you ask for volunteers, usually get the same few that'll do it over and over and over again. This way you kind of get some of the others involved, too.
That's a good
Very good. You can mix it up that way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know the lesson plan asks for the missionaries to do that each time. Some missionaries like to change that up, and the lead student may have a lesson plan that they want to use a particular hymn to emphasize their lesson plan. So I would check with them each time, you know, the week before, Wednesday or so on of maybe Saturday, to find if they have their own hymn. If not, then you can pick one. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, one more, two more.
Let's see. Bales in the Summerwood Stake. Could you read number, where is it? Oh, 5, number 5.
Assist the lead student with setup as needed.
Have you had that experience yet? That you've had to Or do the banks do that?
Well, the room that we meet in is used for seminary, and it's pretty much set up as far as tables and chairs.
Right.
And so the lead student, the only setup I've seen them perform is come in right on the chalkboard. And so we haven't done much in that area.
So for those of you that do not have an institute set up or seminary set up in your room already, it's important for you to read the lesson ahead of time, because the lead student might be asked to put people in pairs. They might be asked to put them in groups of 4. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, and then that's where you can be of assistance to your lead students.
Yep. Sister Elmer, could you read number 6 for us and comment on that?
Sure. Greet students at the door. I think it's important so that you know that it's important. Greet them and let them know we're happy they're there.
Yes, we all love to hear our own names, and calling them by their name just gives them a warm feeling and welcomes them. That's good.
Okay, another activity.
Okay, see the picture there below? It's this picture right there. Look at, let's see, no, we're not doing breakouts. What about this picture is on?
They're just going to do it individually. Give them a minute to do it.
Oh, I'm going to mute your. Okay, I'm going to mute everybody.
Individually circle the potential distractions in the room, if you would, please. They're laughing already. It's funny. It is funny.
I check and see if it becomes a problem. There might be somebody that can help babysit in another room or something like that while she's out in class. Maybe I'll volunteer. Maybe a couple of ads.
Yeah. Guess it'd be every Thursday.
There we go.
All right, we're ready to begin. We're hoping that Andersons can share with us, even if you have to hold the picture up to the camera, because we hate to have you left out. Andersons, what did you circle?
Everything except the students.
Everything except the students. Can you name just one thing so we kind of go around the room and... She's going to hold it up because I can't. A little higher. A little higher.
Yes.
Is she pointing to the missionaries?
Is that? Yeah.
Are you pointing to the missionaries? Okay. So the problem with the missionaries is the sister is dressed properly with her badge, but the elder, I don't know, he must have just come from work or something. And what's he doing? What's he doing in the back of the room that he probably shouldn't be doing? Elder Anderson's doing this. Blah, 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 right? He's doing hand signals now. I'm so sorry we can't hear you. What else did you guys find? Go ahead. Fix me.
Let's see, Elmer's. What did you focus on? Elmer's in Austin.
The baby.
Oh.
Always a distraction. I don't, Sister Georgia and I have talked about this many times. If somebody's babysitter is absent, do you tell a student don't show up? We decided we can't do that. So Sister Georgia and I, on certain occasions, will take turns with the baby out in the hall if it's the lead student. who has the babysitter problem, but they still want to come and do the lead student. So I know that if you read the handbook, it says no children, right, which include babies in the class. But you need to understand individually, you know, let the Spirit guide you in the way you handle it.
Very good.
Yep. Let's see, Bales in Summerwood, anything interest you in that photo?
One of the things that we noticed was that the door was open, which can just be a number of distractions with it being noisy or just wondering what's out there.
Very good.
Yep. If you've got a meeting elsewhere in the church and it's maybe a mutual night, closing the door would be good. Some places need ventilation. The door has to be open, but that's site by site. Let's see. Lewis is in Queen Creek. Any of those?
The crooked picture.
Yeah, drive me crazy.
Yeah, that's front center.
Our church is a house.
What's that, Sister Lewis?
Our church is a house of order, and so that's distracting.
Very good.
So when you arrive early to help your lead student set up, you'd fix that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I would too.
What's wrong with it?
The dolls in Elko, did you fixate on something you didn't like?
Could be the full garbage that's overflowing. That's kind of distracting in front of the room.
Yeah, that's a little much, isn't it?
And of course, you know that garbage should be, whether it's your garbage or not from your class, should be emptied before you leave, because you should leave the room in better condition than that which you found it. That's the policy. That's how we get along with those that are willing to share their rooms with us in the buildings. Pathway is always very considerate about that, and we leave no trace that we've been there, and even clean up someone else's mess if we need to.
Yep. No one in this group is an arachnophobic, I guess, because there's a spider hanging up in the corner and nobody's made it.
My wife circled it.
I circled it.
I circled it.
Now, Sister George always brings something. We'll bring this page to a conclusion, but she always comments on one thing that's very obvious. Those people at the table, no bodies below the table.
That's distracting.
That's just cruel.
That's distracting. All right. So now we're going to turn the page and be on page 4. Page 4, section 5, missionaries' role during the gathering. Let's see, I'm going to have Sister Matthews. Would you please read that paragraph that says read?
Illustrates pathway missionaries disengage themselves from contrast. Some missionaries
Sister Matthews, we can't hear you. Could you get a little closer? Thank you.
Should I read it again? Or
yes, please. Yes, please.
Picture below illustrates two extremes. During the lesson, some pathway missionaries disengage themselves from the experience. In contrast, some missionaries are constantly oversharing or have even hijacked the lesson.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break out into groups right now, like your students would do. And we're going to take the next 4 items and you're going to discuss them, and then we'll come back and see how you guys did in your breakout rooms. And we're going to give you about 2 minutes for this one. You ready? 3 rooms. Yeah, that should do it. Okay. 1 rooms. Here you go.
Oh, join. Okay.
Are they in the groups?
Oh, wait, we're talking to them.
There they go. There they go. There's the groups. Can you hear each other in the group?
They can't hear. We would have to actually click
Okay,
to join.
Don't.
Okay. It just takes time. That's what I didn't do last night.
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah.
It's about waiting.
The computer's going to sort that.
We are going to take a few minutes and do those 2 videos and talk about them because I think if we went 1 hour and 15, that would be fine. We won't take much time here. I won't ask each group. There's 3 groups. I'll just ask the 3 of them. And then have them all show the picture. There's 3 groups. I'll ask each group to answer one. Okay, it's been 1 minute. We need to give them 1 minute.
If I
No, don't close them. Well, that's okay. Don't close them yet, please. What do you want? 10 seconds? 5 seconds? How much time do you want?
I think it's 60 seconds.
60 seconds?
Yes, 1 minute.
Okay, it's a half. Go ahead and
Close
go
it.
ahead and close them.
Like 60 seconds.
Okay. So who are the Lewises, Quinn Creek, and Elko and Petersons? And the Masons with Elko. Bales are new. That's good. I think the Lewises are maybe not our Lewises. They seem to be sitting off center and not fully engaged. But they need to know is that here's what their missionaries would be getting in the training. 20 seconds. Oh my goodness, Jessica. Why don't we look so red? Is it the way the light is?
Together. Just emphasize that. Okay. Here we're back.
And we're back.
We're not done.
And we're all mixed up.
Oh,
You're interfering with our teaching.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, Smarty Pants Bales. You get to go first then.
Smarty Pants.
Way to go.
I've been called much worse.
Let's start with number 1, and then we'll move to a different group. Tell us what you discussed about what it means to be an engaged observer. What does that mean?
It means that you're aware of what's being taught and what's going on, and you're willing and able to make a comment if it's deemed necessary, or to just allow them to run with it if it's not necessary.
Okay, very good. So understanding that your job is, if the doctrine goes off course and someone's teaching something that's not correct, your job is to bring them back to where they're supposed to be, right?
Right.
Or any other comments that the Spirit might want you to say. Very good. Okay. How about Lewis's in Queen Creek? You were in a different group, right?
Yes.
Okay. Could you take number 2 then? Strive not to interfere with teaching one another. What does that mean? What does oversharing look like?
I think it encompasses that hijacking the lesson comment. It's not about us, and we're not the students, but as we discussed in our group, if there's a lull where we could help the lead student, we can jump in with maybe a very short, concise comment, but not to overshare and take too much of their precious time.
That's exactly right. My daughter-in-law, after about 3 or 4 years of me talking her into doing Pathway, finally did, and she said she had hijacking missionaries who sat up front and ran the whole show. So it was really, really sad for her that she didn't get to have the wonderful experience that we know Pathway is supposed to offer. Now, Larsons, were you in a different group from the 2 that have already spoken?
Yes.
Okay, could you go ahead and take number 3 then, please?
Okay. Quietly move from group to group to ensure that learning is taking place. Our groups are probably small enough where we pretty much just can hear everything going on from the different groups, but we could probably do that better.
Okay. I appreciate that you're looking for ways to improve as missionaries, but proximity, as a teacher, proximity can be a great tool. Just moving around the classroom, if someone's got their cell phone out, or they're having a conversation that's not topic related, or they're wasting time, or they look like they're about to fall asleep, proximity and just moving about the room is very useful. But the other thing it does is you get to start to hear the things your students are saying, and it helps you to grow in learning about them. So that's always a great thing. Sister Anderson.
Yes, I'm just, wondering, one of the things that the lead student is supposed to do is to go around when they're working in their group. And I just wonder if we would interfere if we did that every time.
Well, certainly you don't have to do it every time. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that if there's a problem in the room or something, proximity can be a great useful tool.
Yeah, proximity doesn't mean that you have to interject yourself,
Right.
but just walking to the table and listening sometimes can redirect the conversation back to the lesson plan if it's gone other places.
Right. And the
We don't want to take that away from the lead student who's doing that.
Agreed.
they are.
Absolutely agreed. And the Lewises from Mesa West had a comment. Elder Lewis.
Well, it was the same comment that the lead student, that's one of the first things we learn about and teach the students in the first gatherings is be actively involved in the entire class and circulate from group to group to group.
Right.
And from that, they can ask questions and understand what direction various groups have gone. So
That's true. Now, in the English class, though, they are sharing their paper with someone. They have to be with a group, and they can't get up and move around because they're involved in a group themselves in order to get the best out of those kinds of lessons. So English kind of might be the exception to the rule where the missionaries use this tool. All right, everybody show the camera where you put your X on the blue line. Where did you put your X?
Let's see.
Up a little higher.
Here or blah, blah, blah. So I put it like right there.
Okay, show the camera where you put it. Okay. Wow, almost everybody put it. A lot of you put it down towards the
bottom.
The sitting, where they're sitting behind the desk snoozing.
Right here. Oh.
Some of you put it in the middle on that spectrum. Okay. So they want you somewhere in there in that spectrum, not at either end, for sure. And so that's interesting that we had a variety of different locations there on that.
Yep, which is good. All right, now turn to page 5. This is section 6.
Last section.
Yeah, normally it's called homework, but there's 2 quick videos that are really good, interesting, and talk about the feedback process. So let me just read the paragraph. During Pathway, every student as a lead student. The missionary's role after the gathering is to provide feedback to the lead student and to prepare the observing student to lead the discussion the following week. Now, I've got 2 videos, the wrong way to do it and the right way to do it. So let me just
pause between the 2 so we can talk about the process.
Yes,
Okay.
and I will pause between the 2.
Okay.
Nope. Right, this way. Get this.
Make sure you all can see it.
Sure. Got those clicked. Throw it on over. Here we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Mute them.
Just a second.
Hold on, we have to mute. Can everybody mute? Well, we'll mute you. We need to mute you all. Okay.
So, how did I do as lead student tonight?
Oh, you did great, Laura. Really great.
Okay. What about the observation and feedback sheet?
I don't really have much time. You did great. You really did. You see, the Muppets Take Manhattan is on BYU TV tonight. I've really been looking forward to it. So I really don't have time.
Okay. I really want your comments though. Something?
Okay, well, let me see if I can find one of those, what are they called?
The observation.
Okay, here's one here. Okay, what did you think went really bad? Where did you really mess up tonight?
Well, I don't know. You said I did okay, so I don't know.
Well, I noticed a lot of people falling asleep. What do you think was the cause of that?
I didn't see anybody.
Okay, so you think you did okay in everything?
I guess. What do you think?
Okay, you did okay. Here, I'll give you okay on every single one of these. You did okay. I've really got to go. All right? Okay?
Okay.
There you go, Laura.
Okay.
Sure, thank you so much for giving me this student guide. I thought it was really helpful in preparing for today. Good, and I'm really...
Okay, all right, you found it.
Sorry.
Okay, so obviously we all had a good laugh. We know that's not the right way. I just need to preface this next video. Salt Lake is aware that the video is not structured quite right. The actual process is that the observing student gives feedback first. That's the process. And then if there's anything that's left over, then the missionaries can talk about it. We try to give 2 things that they did really well and sandwich the 1 thing they need to grow on in the middle. We don't hit them with more than 1 thing to grow on. Even if there was 15 things that went wrong that day, just give them 1 thing to grow on and work with your observing student to help improve those other things when it's their turn. But in this video, all of the communication is exactly what we want, but the process is wrong because the missionary goes first, barely gives the observing student any time at all, and she runs the whole show. And actually, it should be the observing student. So please don't pay attention to the actual process, just listen to the communication that takes place. It's this one.
Mr. Haywood, thank you so much for giving me this lead student guide. I thought it was really helpful in preparing for today.
Good, and I'm really glad that you used it. I find that the lead student guide really helps as you're preparing the lesson, so I'm glad you found that helpful also. So let's talk a little bit about the lesson tonight. How do you feel it went?
I thought it was all right. I did my best to prepare, get here early, stuff like that.
I appreciated that you were prepared. Not only that, but I think it went better than okay. I actually thought it was great. You did an excellent job. So what I'd like to do is go through this feedback and observation form now. Let's look at each of the different categories. As you can see on here, there are 5 different categories related to how you did as the lead student. And as we're discussing it, will you please tell me the areas where you felt confident and maybe other areas where you felt maybe you could have used some improvement, okay?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and go through those. The first one is the lead student was prepared to facilitate the lesson. You already mentioned that you came prepared. I know you arrived early, you were dressed professionally. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I just did what was in the guide, tried to do my best to be here.
Okay, I think that's great. I also like the visuals. That helped the class to come alive. The students could see what you were trying, the points you were trying to make. So I really appreciated that. So great job there. Thanks. Okay, the next section has to do with relevance, and it says the lead student referred to this week's materials. How did you do in that area?
I feel like I leaned pretty heavily on the materials actually because I was kind of nervous, but I thought it was really, really good.
Well, your nervousness did not show, but your preparation did, and that was really great. I liked the way that you shared the discussion board comments. I think that helped everyone to relate to what you were talking about because they had just fulfilled those assignments. In addition to that, you referred to the video, and I think that sparked those thoughts that people just remembered from what they had done as they were watching the video. And I think my very favorite part was when you shared Elder Bednar's quote.
It's a good quote. It's one of my favorites.
It was also the favorite of many of those in the class, as you know. It really helped set the tone for a great discussion, and it also invited the spirit. I really appreciated that. Caleb was also the observing student this week. Caleb, do you have anything to add?
Well, one thing I thought you did really well that I liked was, when you, like it says here, it says don't fear silence. And like when you asked some questions and people didn't answer right away, you were patient, just let people think, and then answers came, which I thought was really good.
So what about the next section of validation, validating students' comments and remarks?
It's probably a little bit more shaky on that one. I didn't really know what to say. I thought everything was good.
That was a little harder for you?
Yeah.
What was hard about that?
Well, I don't know. What are you supposed to say besides, good job, thanks for improving my gathering?
Maybe for next time, you could be thinking about anything that is sincere from your heart as you validate, such as, thank you, that really helps me think deeply about this question, or great job, I think that helped to invite the Spirit into the classroom, or anything that would come from you directly that would help you to feel that you were not just validating, but that you were sincere in recognizing that somebody had made a comment that actually contributed to the classroom. I'm going to give this to you, and you can take that home and look at it. Especially, it might be helpful to you the next time you have an opportunity to be a lead student to see what went well and maybe an area that you can improve on.
All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, well, great job. Thank you very much. Enjoy having you here, and we love what you contributed to the class tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
As I approach my online course, I feel like it's not important what the students learn in the class, but that they learn all through the rest of their life. Many of these students are coming without a solid foundation in the gospel. They've struggled.
Sorry. We don't know why that happens. Can you unmute everybody? Thank you. Okay. Well, we hope that you got something out of this meeting. I know that even sometimes the most experienced missionaries and our lead missionaries out in the sites get at least one or two things that they can take back to their missionaries. So we hope that that's true for you. We're going to close with a quote in just a moment, but I want you to know that Elder George and I will linger longer. So we will hang on. We won't end the meeting. If you have to go, we promised you about an hour. If you need to leave, you can just exit the meeting. If you'd like to stay a little bit longer and have a discussion about something more personal or something that's happening at your site you need help with, anything like that, we're happy to do that. So we'll linger a little bit longer. And then who's going to say the closing?
Could we ask Sister Bales to give us a closing?
But first we'll read this section here.
Oh.
Let's see. Let's have Sister Elmer. Could you read in section 7, Elder John H. Groberg shared the following.
Sure. Strongest connections we have with our premortal life is how much the Father and Jesus loved us and how much we love them. Even though a veil was thrown over our memory, whenever we sense true love, it awakens a longing that cannot be denied. Responding to true love is part of our very being. We innately desire to reconnect here with the love we felt there.
And we want you to know that we truly love you and love serving in this calling, love serving you and helping in any way that we can. And we thank you so much for your time tonight. Okay,
Thank
who was
you,
going to do
Sister Bales?
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful that we can meet together as pathway missionaries to learn more about people and older people that are trying to draw closer to thee and to learn more of the ways of thy way. We're grateful for the opportunity to feel life's and to strengthen each other, and we ask thee to bless us that we can be inspired and directed to know how to better serve these students. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. We'll see you guys Thursday.
Yes, you will. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Anybody lingering longer?
Nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, we have a couple questions.
Questions, sure.
Sure. Who
We
said
have
they had questions?
We have two. First of all, we've never gotten name tags.
When did you order your name tag, Sister Elmer?
Where were you supposed to order them?
When?
Oh, did they not? In your welcome letter, there was a to-do list for the missionaries, a checklist, and on that checklist, it told you how to order your missionary badges. So Elder George will resend that to you tonight.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead and go to that link and order them.
Okay.
They do take a little while, so I have to apologize for that.
Okay, that's fine. We must have missed that somewhere. So, okay, then second of all, ask us next year that they could meet with us like once a month or something to keep them going, even though they've graduated from Pathways. Is that a possibility, or is it something that we can just do on our own? Or
You can certainly do it on your own. We have, in fact, had what we call Pathway Connection events sometimes that after, and one of the best ones was, what did they call that one with the all of the different employers? We had something connections. We had a whole bunch of different employers from different fields come in based on the degrees that were being offered. And so if someone specialized in that degree, they got to go do a breakout group with that particular employee, employer, that sort of thing. So that was really good. We do need to do something more about it, but right now with the bringing on of the virtual classes, the Salt Lake has everything they can do just to keep up with that. So, but by all means, we have stayed connected to all of our groups for the 3 years that we had groups. And we still see them, we still love them, we still gather with them occasionally. So by all means.
Okay.
You're certainly free to do that.
Okay, great.
That's very sweet, Sister. Okay.
All right, that was all of our questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Good night.
And Matthews, did you have a question, or Elder Lewis?
I figured if someone had questions, I could learn, so I was just listening.
Oh, good for you. Okay, Sister Matthews then.
I have one question. We are not receiving the emails of the announcements.
Oh.
But I know that we can get in online and at the site and see them. But email would be very convenient.
Okay, so do you have a pencil and paper? I can give you a phone number. You can call them and tell them you're not receiving it.
Sure. Go ahead.
It's 801 353
Okay.
1818.
1818, great.
And the 1818 number is all things missionary. So anytime you have any concerns as a missionary and you need help and your site leader can't help you because they don't have an answer or it's something like this, you call them and they'll take care of it.
That sounds great. Thank you. And thank you for all the guidance tonight.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Hold on.
You're welcome. But before you call them, could you go to pathway.lds.org and log in? You don't have to do it now.
Oh.
Pathway.lds.org and log in, that little button at the upper left, upper right-hand corner. And then once you log in, click on your name. You see a small drop-down menu. The word profile or personal profile or something is there. Click on that. Whatever email address is in there is where they're sending your Tuesday missionary updates.
Okay, I'll check to make sure that that's there. We thought we filled out our profiles.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten anything. I've looked in junk, haven't gotten it there.
That's good that you did that. Junk and spam. Sometimes they go in there for a while.
Yeah. The only reason I mentioned this is that's what they'll ask you first.
Okay, we'll check that first.
Yep. Good.
Question.
Yes.
What is the difference between a mentor, who's shown at the top of the pyramid?
I know. They tried something called Starfish for about a year, involving a professional individual called a mentor. The church hired some mentors to try to help students in Pathway that were flagging at-risk people. That just didn't work. And so we need to take that section out of there. They're working on developing another system that will help use mentors, but the system that this particular training page talks about no longer exists.
And they did just recently do away with it. Yeah. But understand that there's a great relationship if they can make this work between the instructor and the missionary, where they can flag a particular student and it goes directly to this mentor at the top of the pyramid who's a paid professional that steps in and starts to work with it. So if it's something that's above and beyond what a missionary or a lead missionary at the site can handle, then it goes directly there. If they've tried to help this student and they can't, then they should flag them and go. So be watching for your at-risk students. Even if you can't flag them for someone else, a professional, to follow up, you can still follow up. You can talk to your site leader. You can call us and discuss the issue, and we can kind of guide you through some things as well.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
We're looking forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, good.
Really nice to see you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
So that leaves
the lonely Elder Lewis.
So a couple questions. So the class we went to a week ago, we went to it was the 31 and over. So the first class we went to was a religion. It was the religion class.
Right, the Petersons.
Who was teaching that in the Petersons class? Was that just one of the students?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Your wife
Okay.
asked me that, and I explained it back in an email, but I don't think you were tagged on that email, so I apologize for that. I'll try to watch for that again next time. But yes, that was a student.
Yeah,
And
we
then
never- we never know who they are. There will be stake presidents in those classes that won't tell people that they're stake presidents, Relief Society presidents.
Well, President McElhaney
Yeah.
did the program, and so did his 2 counselors.
So, so in the 31 plus group, you're going to see some amazing church members who are just sitting amongst other church members who are struggling. And want to be amazing. Yeah.
And then in the 18 to 30-year-olds, their religion class is part of the institute.
Correct.
And so do they have that at ALA, an institute teacher actually out there to teach that?
Yes, that's why we're going to meet at 6:15 tomorrow, Thursday night.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
We'll open the doors, and the institute instructor will probably already be there. It's usually a couple. And the students will go in there first, and then they'll take their 10-minute break and go into the middle room, which is the academic portion of the gathering.
Yeah. Now, we as missionaries literally take no part in that institute other than just we're present so that the students see we're interested. Literally, we just are quiet in the back.
Right. It's an observation, but it does support the students.
Yes.
I saw that in the modules, and it said the leaders have to have like a bachelor's degree and
oh yes,
everything. So I was okay. I was just double checking.
They're fully qualified.
Right. And what did you think of the modules, the 8 modules? And Matthews, you just recently finished them as well, didn't you? What did you think of the modules?
Very helpful. A couple of them I watched 2 and 3 times because as I start over again, for some reason it would go back. So a couple of them I saw 2 or 3 times, but they were good, very helpful.
Good to hear that. And Matthews, how did you feel?
We felt the same way. I just thought they were full of information, and so
Yes.
going back was helpful for me too.
Okay. Well, Pathway's always under construction. I say it's like building a bridge while you're walking on the bridge. And we're always trying to improve our training. So we appreciate that feedback, because if there's something amiss and someone's not getting what they should out of it, then we know immediately that training needs to be changed. So we're constantly trying to revise and improve what we're doing to support the field missionaries.
No, it was good. And all the supplemental material was good.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Good.
Elder Lewis, anything else?
That's it. Thank you. You guys have a good evening. Nice to meet you, Matthews.
Thank you. Same to you.
Elder Lewis, did you get my second email today?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Actually, there was a third one with just the attachments, so you could just send those on to the stake presidents?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good. You didn't reply, and you didn't need to. I just wanted to make sure they went through and you received them.
I did right before the meeting started. Is when I saw it. So.
Okay, very good.
And we do have a couple of interested people, but we don't know if we're going to be able to get them or not.
Okay, well, we'll be praying.
All right.
We'll be praying to get some new missionaries. Yep, call us with any questions you have this week.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.